Good evening, friends. As we have promised you earlier, that we shall be coming with a separate video on news analysis concerning the latest issues related to polity that are relevant for our this year's civil services preliminary 2024 examination. Recently, in the 25th April edition of the Hindu newspaper, the Supreme Court came out with a verdict upholding the relevancy and the status quo, the way elections are conducted in our country. There were several petitions which were filed before the phase of the election which started this year concerning the issues which were raised on the EVM and the VVPAT that we shall be discussing in our this video. Fine. So these are the content of our video which I shall be covering, that why this, what is the issue concerning the EVM. Then I shall throw some light on the facts and about about our general election and the constitutional background of our elections and also of Election Commission of India. Fine. Then we will see how the EVMs were introduced in our country, where it was first used, and some certain facts related to EVM. Then we shall also discuss the way elections are conducted in our democracy, especially for general election and state or assembly election. I'm not talking about the panchayat or lower representative election which are conducted in our country. And then we shall talk about the advantage utility of EVM. Then we shall also simultaneously talk about a petition which was also filed in our Supreme Court concerning the VVPAT. We will throw some light on its evolution, its functioning, and then we will in detail discuss the 25th April verdict which Supreme Court has given pertaining to use of VVPAT in this year's general election. And in this sequence we shall also discuss the measures those were taken by the Honorable Supreme Court on issues concerning election. Finally, we shall conclude on a positive note. Additionally, I have also provided one question related to our this video. Okay, starting our video. Then this was the question which was raised before the Supreme Court, and Supreme Court came down. The question which was raised before the Supreme Court concerning the EVM system of polling, and there was also a simultaneous question regarding the revive of the use of ballot paper as it was used in our general election prior to 2004 general elections. So this was totally refused by the Supreme Court. Fine. What is visible on your screen is the VVPAT machine and the balloting machine. Fine. We will discuss how this is useful in our election process and how it is utilized in our election process. Fine. So these are the facts certain related to our general election. On the right side top corner you can see the logo of our Election Commission of India. This year we are going to have the 18th Lok Sabha election. This is being conducted in 543 parliamentary constituencies, with starting from April 19th, that will be conducted in via 7 phases. In India, we follow the first past the post system. First past the post system means whosoever candidate secures the maximum number of votes, he is declared as the winner. Instead of unnecessary 50% of the total polled votes have to be gathered by him. That this is not the case. The maximum whosoever secures the maximum number of votes, he wins the election in our country. This is called the first past the post system. The day Election Commission of India declares or announces the schedule for the election. From that very day, Model Code of Conduct, Achar Sanhita, that is called in India, it comes into force. This MCC has evolved over the years, and it is not provided in any statute, nor it is provided in any constitution, but it is rather as a whole accepted by all the political parties. Neither it is provided in any case law, but it is accepted in general by all political parties, such that it provides a fair play for all the political parties in the election. Additionally, the schedule of the parliamentary election is formed in such a manner such that it facilitates the movement of security staff and other staff for the conduct of election. This year, this is a landmark year. This time that more than 1 million polling booths were being set up across the country. These are a few of the facts related to election. Also, there this year 5.5 million EVMs are being used for the voting process. Additionally, more than 15 million temporary polling officials are being employed this year. We understand that elections are the celebration of democracy. In Hindi, we can say ये एक महापर्व है हमारे डेमोक्रेसी का. This is one of the methods by which our people exercise their franchise. They make their representatives responsible and accountable for their action. Elections are a method. It's a symbol of democratic process. In our country, we follow the representative form of democracy because seeing the vast size of our country, close to 140 crore people, where this year total number of registered voters are more than 97 crore. So each each and every person actually participating in the law making process is next to impossible. Then there will be 97 crore views. Then virtually there will be no decision that can be taken. So in India we broadly follow a representative form of democracy, that you elect a representative and he will represent you in the parliament or legislature as the case may be. Fine. What is the constitutional basis of our general election? If we talk about our constitution, part 15th of our constitution of India, it provides for the elections. Fine. Article 324 to 329, it provides for the power of election commission of India. It provides for a general electoral roll, unlike in case of British time when there was separate electoral roll for Muslims, Christians, etc. Fine. Separate electorate means if a candidate belongs to a particular community, let's say he's a Hindu, then only Hindu alone can vote for him. If he belongs to, let's say, if he is an Anglo-Indian, who Anglo-Indian alone can vote for him. This is called separate electorate. But in India, we have a general electoral roll, that irrespective of caste, sex, creed, color, region, we will have a single electoral roll. You must have also seen, if you have gone for voting, that once you enter the polling booth, the first polling official, he carries in his hand an electoral roll of your area, of your ward, which bears the name, your name, name of your father, the ward number, among other details. Fine. This mammoth exercise of conducting election in this country, which is the largest democracy of the world and also the oldest democracy, this power which the election commission exercises, it is provided in Article 324. This provides for superintendence, direction and control for the conduct of election. Additionally, this is the broad framework which is provided in the constitution. Under this very framework, two important statutes are passed by the parliament, that is Representative of People's Act 1950, which broadly deals with the activities which are related to before the election, and 1951 actually deals with the activities which are related to or during the election process. Fine. Moving ahead. So we shall talk about the EVM, its history and facts. EVM were actually introduced to smoothen the election process. They revolutionized the electoral system. They managed to eliminate the use of ballot papers, which was a logistical nightmare as well as caused huge expenditure for the election commission to conduct this entire election. If we talk about the history of EVMs, this is especially important as far as preliminary examination is concerned. It was first introduced in 1982 assembly polls of Paravur in Kerala, where out of 123 polling booths, it was introduced for 50 polling booths. Fine. Later, for since 2004 general election, Election Commission of India accepted it in totality. That that means each and every vote will be casted by the this EVM. Fine. And you can estimate the robust nature of our EVMs by this fact that total 118 crore votes today till date have been polled by this EVM. It does not mean that since from 1982 altogether in one stroke directly we switched to we switched for EVM in 2004 general election. Actually, in midst of 1980 to 2004, there were several state assembly election where EVMs were actually used, and it produced some good results as far as efficiency, logistical issues are concerned. Result, the declaration of result is concerned. This can, because now things are being done electronically, the use of human is eliminated. That means things can be done pretty fast now. As far as our 18th Lok Sabha is concerned, this time 97 crore voters have to cast their vote through 21.60 lakh ballot papers. This fact has to be checked. 21.60 lakh ballot papers. Fine. This fact has to be checked. I will update upon this fact. Well, other facts are fine. 16.80 lakh control unit, 17.70 lakh VVPAT. We shall discuss what are these control unit, ballot paper, VVPAT in our coming slide. EVMs are manufactured by these two PSUs, Bharat Electronic Limited and Electronic Corporation of India Limited. BEL is under the Ministry of Defense and other one is under the Department of Atomic Energy. Fine. Moving ahead. In this slide, I am going to discuss how elections actually election is polling is conducted. Fine. Let's look at this video. This slide. This is the general overview of the polling station. People are standing in the queue holding their EPIC, that is electoral photo identity card, as well as a slip. That slip is provided by the polling agents of your area or members of the party who, because since registered political parties and recognized and registered political parties, they have access to electoral roll which is provided by the election commission of India free of cost to them. By that they can locate your house and they can provide you a slip, so that it facilitates such that to you for you to locate in which area, in which you are located, in which ward, fine, of your constituency, such that it helps in facilitating to locate that which is the nearest polling station where you have to cast your vote. You will not be allowed to cast vote if, say, you are located in ward number 7 of your constituency and you have reached ward number 8, then you will not be allowed to cast a vote because a designated place has been established for you to vote. Fine. So mainly this voting process is conducted in the electoral in that polling station in 4 stages. At the first stage, once you hand over your EPIC to the first polling staff, it uh, it goes through the EPIC and then locates you on the electoral roll, which is provided to him by the presiding officer of your polling station. Fine, and then from there you go to the second polling staff, provided your identity is not challenged. It may be possible that the polling agent which is present there, which are representatives of political party, he may challenge your identity, that you are not that very person of whose EPIC that you are carrying. In case it is challenged, and if it is proved, then you will be handed over to the police. Provided it is not challenged and you are the very person of whose EPIC you are carrying, then the second polling staff inks your finger. Fine, and he carries a register of voters where you are supposed to sign, and he gives you a voter slip where you will record your serial number and the serial number in the electoral roll. Fine. From there we proceed to the third polling officer. The third polling officer will take the voter slip from you. Okay, and then from the third polling officer, he carries the controlling unit. There are three parts of the EVM, electronic voting machine. One is the controlling machine, second is the balloting unit, and third is the VVPAT, voter verifiable paper audit trail. The controlling machine contains a button called ballot, which when pressed by the third polling officer, it and then he asks you to poll. You are supposed to poll into you are supposed to go to the voting compartment, and once the third polling officer, he presses the ballot on the controlling machine, then you are allowed to cast your vote inside the voting compartment, which is surrounded by such that secrecy can be maintained and free and fair election can be conducted. And once you cast a vote, then red lamp glows. That means your vote has been casted. And if say you are very much enthusiastic and you are voting for the very first time, and if by mistake you press that button twice or thrice, it, it will not matter at all, because vote is only casted once. As soon as the red button is pressed, it glows. Once you press the button against the candidate, against the name and the symbol of your candidate, ठीक है, let's say you have affiliation, political affiliation for some Y party, and the name of your candidate is XYZ, then the name of your candidate is written on the right of it, the party symbol of Y party is given, and then next to it is the button that you are supposed to press, that is provided. Once you press that button, then the red light will grow, and if after pressing the first that button for the first time, if you press it again twice or thrice, it will not matter, because vote can be only conducted once. If again vote has to be conducted, then the third polling officer has to again press the ballot from there, from the control unit, so that next vote can be conducted. Fine. So even if you are very much enthusiastic, only once you can cast a vote. Fine. So this is the in this small slide I have tried to show you the environment and the way voting is conducted. Fine. Where people, as you can see, the ladies, half population of our country, और जिन्हें हम ये भी कहते हैं आधी आबादी, और जिनका रिप्रेजेंटेशन इलेक्टोरल प्रोसेस में सबसे ज़्यादा ज़रूरी है, वो हाथ में ईपीआईसी लेके खड़ी हैं. That EPIC will be checked by the first polling officer in the electoral roll, as you can see here. Okay, he's checking it in the electoral roll. Fine. From there you go to the second polling official. As you can see, madam is sitting here, and she is inking your finger. Fine. And then you are supposed to sign on the register of voter, and then you go to the fourth third then you go to the third ballot polling officer. She is carrying this. You can see this is the control unit, where once she presses, then it allows you to vote in this voting compartment. This is the Election Commission of India voting compartment. There, here this person is voting. Fine. And once you vote here, this is the VVPAT machine. This is the paper audit trail that you have, and that this is also placed inside this temporary establishment, so that whatever you to whosoever you have casted a vote, it is only visible to you. As you can see, mm, certain details to whom you have casted your vote, it is visible here, that we shall discuss in the next slide. And then you can go to the voter selfie point. You can take your photo. As you can see, Sardarji is taking a selfie in Sangrur. Fine. And throwing light on the advantages of the EVM, it has this EVM, electronic voting machine. This has made the election process streamlined. It has made the voting process very faster and efficient. As you must have seen that yesterday second phase of the polling of the 18th Lok Sabha election was conducted, and even when it was 2 o'clock in the afternoon, what was the extent of voting? It was known to the general people. How was it possible? It was possible because there is a button that is available on the controlling unit, such that it can count the number of votes that have been polled till date. It may not be able to count the result, that to whose favor this voting has been done, but it can count the total number of votes that have been casted. So in this way, if all the data from whichever constituencies the elections where elections have been being conducted, if all those data are collated, then you can certainly tell that by 5 o'clock or by 4 o'clock how much percentage of voting is taking place. You may not be able to tell the election what is the result. All additionally, earlier, to count the ballot papers, it used to take 40 to 50 to 60 hours. Now it can be done in 3 to 4 hours electronically. Fine. The EVM machine can generate result very fast, and whatever time which is actually taken, it is only taken to collate the result and segregate what all different votes those are received by different political parties. Fine. It has made, since we are using VVPAT, it has made the voting process more transferable, clear and verifiable record of vote that is being casted. We will talk about this VPAT in our coming slide. It has also reduced the cost which is taking place on election this year. 97 crore, just imagine 97 crores votes if are to be polled using ballot paper. Then you are supposed to first of all print 97 crore ballot papers. It has to be transported differently to a different location. Fine. Once it is casted, it has to be collected and stored. For that process, you need to hire big fields of the size of football field of the size of football field. They need to be protected. Fine. They have to be saved from all sorts of natural disasters, for example, flood, forest fire, etc. So it was a huge logistical nightmare for the then election that are being conducted using the ballot paper. And then all those boxes that have to be hired, they were have to be transported at one central location. Then safety, security, a lot of logistical. You can understand the magnanimity of issue that is pertaining to ballot paper. And then there was also issue of invalid vote that used to happen with the ballot papers. A lot of votes that were casted, it was by me, because after casting your vote, you have to fold the ballot paper, and it has to be folded in a particular fashion, and if it is being folded in some other fashion, then your vote becomes invalid. So earlier this was also an issue that the representative, that we are not able to make our difference, make our voice reach in this electoral process, because a lot of votes used to go invalid. Fine. So this is the VVPAT machine that I was talking about. VVPAT, if we talk about the full form, it is the voter verifier paper audit trail. Fine. As I have told you, let's say if you wish to say some, you are casting vote to some Alexander Joseph. ठीक है, fine. Here on 11 number, K is the party symbol of Alexander Joseph, and this is the button that you have to press in order to cast vote to this party K, whose symbol is K, and Mr. Alexander Joseph. Fine. This is the control unit, this is the VVPAT, and this is the balloting unit. Once you press this blue button, if you wish to vote Mr. K, political party K, you can also vote to G. I am not making you bound. Fine. If you press this K, sorry, this blue button, then here it will display K. K is the symbol of that political party. For example, if you are some Christopher, you have some affiliation for some B political party, and whose candidate is Christopher. Fine. So this will show the name of Christopher here. It may be not visible from here. His serial number is 2. Fine. The election symbol of that political party B. So this is what is visible. You are standing right here where the VVPAT is written. You are standing right here, and you can see it. It shall remain displayed for 7 seconds. And then this receipt will will cut automatically, and it will fall in this box that is maintained here. Fine. So if we talk about the evolution of this VVPAT, it was first used in Nagaland in the 2013 Noksen Assembly. This is important for prelims, and since 2019 it was used in full-fledged way in our general elections. General elections means national election, by which candidates are elected and they represent and they go to Lok Sabha. That is called general election. Otherwise, it is called assembly election. At present, we are using M3 model of the EC Election Commission of India EVM and VVPAT case. Fine. The all objective of this particular VVPAT is to make the voting process fair and transferable. Additionally, in the year 2013, the Honorable Member of Parliament of the Bharatiya Janata Party, Subramaniam Swamy, he filed a case to make VVPAT necessary, which in 2013 alone, Supreme Court has said in its verdict that implementing VVPAT in election, it has become a necessity through EVM. So today we see that VVPAT is in fact a reality. Fine, this is the VVPAT that I was talking about. If you wish to cast vote to B political party, you are supposed to press this button, and this is the name of the your candidate of B political party. ठीक है, his name is coming here, the serial number is coming here, the political party symbol is coming here. Fine. And this is the box where the slip drops after 7 seconds. For 7 seconds it is visible to you. Fine. To now we shall move to the what actual question was raised before the Supreme Court by the two petitioners. By the several petition, we will focus on the latest verdict which came in the Supreme Court on the 25th. It demanded that 50% verification of paper trail should happen. That is, after result is declared, all the paper trail have to be saved, and out of, let's say, this year, 5.5 million, let's say 97 crores, out of 97 crore, 80%, let's say voting happens, let's say around 78 crore people cast their vote, then out of 78 crore votes, close to 39 crore votes, that paper trail, it has to be verified. That this was one of the demands. This was a gigantic task. This is beyond human capability. If it is in within human capability, then it will take some 4, 5, 7, 8, 10 months. Then what is the significance of election? Significant do exist, but it will very erode the way the it will erode the objective with which EVMs were brought in the country. Also, the trust and the proof which EVM has shown, it has been challenged from time to time, which Election Commission of India, through various methods, by calling all the members of the political representatives of political party or their polling agents, and they ask them to try every method possible. They opened it, the entire control unit, balloting unit, and showed them that this EVM can be programmed only once, and in one EVM at max 2000 vote can, earlier there was 3800 votes that can be casted, now only 2000 votes can be casted, and in your area not more than 1500 people can cast vote in a single EVM. So 2000 is a fairly good number, the maximum vote that can be casted or recorded there, and once casted, this will store the data for 10 long years. It is a battery operated, fine. So that there are also some places in our country which may not have access to electricity. So in that case, we may not remain dependent upon electricity. So it has been made a portable, a battery operated system. It is not anyway linked to the internet, so it is remain unhackable. So these are the evidence which were provided by Election Commission of India when fingers were raised on EVM, on capability of EPM. Fine. There were also one petition which said that 100% physical verification of VVPAT by electorate has to be done after they have exercised their franchise. I mean to say, by that petitioner wanted that once you have casted your vote, then as you can see the inside the VVPAT machine, that paper audit trail is visible only for 7 seconds. They, by this petition, they meant that you can get physical access to that paper audit trail, and after seeing it by your and touching it by your hand leisurely, then you will voluntarily drop it in that box. So these were two contentions which were raised by the petitioners. So Supreme Court, the previous day on 25th April, it came out with its verdict. It refused. It came out with its verdict, and it refused for earlier petition which was filed for 50% verification of paper audit trail. Excuse me. Additionally, it also refused to allow 100% physical verification of VVPAT, because that itself is a mammoth exercise, and you cannot control every voter, such that if by mistake it takes VVPAT receipt with itself, or by mistake if it tears the VVPAT machine trail by itself, or it somewhere damages, or it applies some ink which is applied on his hand, then what are you going to do? Will you render his vote as invalid? These are several apprehensions that anybody can raise. As also additionally, 100% physical verification of VVPAT, it is not. may not be physically possible, because you have to conduct election for the entire day. You have to conduct an election, and then you have to transport all those EVMs to a designated place where voting has to be started after certain days. And if we allow so much luxury to voters that you do 100% physical verification, then this may not be logistically possible. Time is not available, because because in this way you are providing a discretion. Fine, you are providing a discretion, and India is a large country. One person may take 100 seconds to view its VVPAT, another may take 5 seconds. Then they will one rivalry start, that why did you allow that person to see the VVPAT for 100 seconds? Another will say, why did you allow? Fine. So this is not physically possible. The Supreme Court said that, what the direction it gave, that 5% EVM has to be randomly verified in any constituency. 5% you have to verify. That itself is a mammoth task, but 5% has to be done, so that whatever apprehensions those are there in the stakeholders of the election. Who are the stakeholders? We the electorate, and the political parties. Obviously, whatever apprehensions are there, this can be removed. Fine. And it also said, the post declaration of result, the symbol loading unit have to be secured for 45 days. It has to be kept in 45 days, so that the top two losing candidate, if required, they can seek verification. They can audit their VVPAT with the total number of votes casted. Fine. These are the two ruling which Supreme Court gave. Also, Supreme Court gave one suggestion, that if possible, then we should can it be done that VVPAT are counted by machine? Supreme Court gave that suggestion. It also gave one suggestion, that the symbol which are printed on the political parties, which I showed you earlier, that for example here B is being printed, can it be barcoded, such that when it automatically is, if it is barcoded, it can be automatically counted by machine. Then it removes the interference of human in the even in the voting. Or let's say, for the 5% EVM which has to be randomly verified, this has to be tallied with the VVPAT. This can be removed altogether. Human interference, that means it can be removed altogether. This was the suggestion which was given by the Supreme Court. This is Supreme Court, what it gives two things. One is the ratio descendi. Ratio descendi. Supreme Court judgment, there are two things. One is the ratio descendi, and one is the arbiter dicta. Fine. Arbiter dicta. Ratio descendi means, what is the rationale behind the judgment? Rationale behind the judgment. Fine. This has to be followed by all the courts, executive authorities, lower courts, high courts. This is provided in Article 141. Fine. Law passed by provided by Supreme Court is binding on all other courts and lower authorities. And arbiter dicta means, article means this ratio descendite, which this is the ratio descendite. It has to be followed. It has to be followed in all sense. Fine. This is the arbiter dicta. Arbiter dicta means suggestion which is given by the Supreme Court, which may or may not be followed. Fine. Election Commission of India will not be penalized this year if they don't follow this directive, because this is the arbiter dicta, but this has to be followed. That this is called the ratio descendi. In a whatever judgment, this judgment which is given by the Supreme Court or any honorable high courts, there are two parts of judgment. One is the ratio descendi and the arbiter dicta, which I have explained here. Additionally, Supreme Court raised certain concerns which are being brought before it from time to time. It said that mindless questioning of EVMs should be avoided. Though this is an electronic machine which has a direct impact on the election, and they acknowledge the concern of the voters. Fine. But if you are unnecessary raising question, then it should be checked. It also said that it is necessary to exercise care and caution before you are raising finger on the electoral process. Fine, we should always remember one thing, that still around 25% people are illiterate in this country. Around, I'm not, because I'm going by the data which is available in 2011 census. So if you are consistently raising question on the integrity of the electoral process, on the functioning of the EVM, on the VVPAT, then it creates a doubt on in the minds of ordinary voters. And once a doubt is created, this may not be easily removed. Fine. So this is not the democracy which our forefathers had seen for our country. We should avoid creating distrust in the electoral process. Whatever is genuine concern you have, you should come out with it. Fine. This will eventually lead to reduced participation and confidence in election. Honorable Supreme Court said that, which is anti to the healthy and robust democracy. It did not say that you should not raise question provided you come out with some supporting evidence. You should raise questions, because our democracy itself is based on debates, dissent, and discussion. If you have apprehension, the Honorable Supreme Court is always there. Its role is the defender and the last interpreter of the Constitution. Its role alone is to defend the Constitution. Constitution should survive, but you should come out with supporting evidence for whatever claim you are making. Fine. As I have also already promised that we shall also discuss the landmark judgment which were taken in the during the electoral process to reform the electoral process. There was also earlier Supreme Court has directed High Court not to suspend the punishment if a person has been convicted and sentenced to imprisonment. That is, do not condone or suspend its imprisonment so that he can cast his or her vote. Fine. Also in Jan Chaukidari case 2004, Supreme Court barred persons who are in lawful custody from contesting election. As we know, in the Representation of People's Act 1951, the statute provides that if a person is in lawful custody, then he does not have a right to vote. Right to vote is a constitutional right. Fine. It is not provided in the part 3 of the Constitution. It is provided in the part 15th of the Constitution. Part 15 of the Constitution means it is a constitutional right. And if somebody prevent you from exercising that right, then you have to approach the lower court, and from there your case goes to the appellate court and then high court. You cannot directly approach the Supreme Court or high court under article 32 or article 226. That is a writ petition. Those are provided in the Constitution. Fine. In the Lily Thomas case of 2013, Supreme Court said that MP and MLAs are to be disqualified on the very date of the criminal conviction, the day it is they are convicted in the court of law. May be possible that they are sentenced to the for their conviction later on, but the day they are convicted means the day charges that those were framed in the charge sheet, they are upheld in the court of law. The day they are convicted, that is called the conviction. The charges which were leveled against them and which is there in the charge sheet, which is filed the by the police, if it is upheld, or in this case election petition case, any other matter by any other authority, if it is upheld, then you are convicted. Also in PUCL case, which was brought before the Supreme Court allowed that voters have the right to cast a negative vote. That means nota was given worth. Nota, you can exercise the right to negative vote. Nota, that is called. If five people are contesting election from your constituency, and if you know that their background was not pro development, then you can cast a negative vote. Fine. This is also a form of democracy by which you are expressing your dissent. In Subramaniam Swamy case of 2013, I have already said Supreme Court said that VVPAT is indispensable for free and fair election, of which today we see in the reality that 2024 election, and in fact since 2019 election alone, VVPAT is being used in each and every elections from the 2019 general election. Fine. Additionally, Supreme Court directed the Election Commission of India to frame guidelines related to the manifesto, especially related to freebies. The freebies have become an important issue this in this election, also in previous election. We have seen how freebies have helped to wow voters, especially in the southern state where initially mixer grinder were offered, and later in the elections, in the assembly elections of no, northern states, where different lucratives offer were given. For example, providing free electricity, providing free bus pass, among other things. Because whatever is being spent on the freebies, it comes out of the tax revenue which is collected by the state. And we see, as we know, India is a developing country, so we need, so the whatever tax it is collected, it is a very crucial economic resource. It cannot be given in the name of freebies. Fine. So additionally, Supreme Court ruled that the returning officer can reject the nomination paper. Fine. If a candidate does not disclose or suppresses information related to the asset or its criminal background. Fine. This year, in 2024 general election, a candidate, it has to thrice, fine, it has to three times, it has to disclose his or her criminal history and assets, and that has to be published in regional newspaper, and it has to be broadcasted on television. Fine, your criminal has antecedent has to be published three times before the election. It has to be done by the candidate with his own money. And additionally, in the Lok Prahari case versus Union of India case, the disclosure of the source of income for the candidates and their associate, it has been made mandatory. And if you fail to disclose it, then you have committed an election offence under Representation of People Act 1951, and your candidature is bound to be cancelled, though you may challenge it later in the election petition, or let's say that will be cancelled when you get elected. Also, there is a provision with there is a power with the returning officer. I shall make a separate video on the returning officer, whatever officials are employed in the election: returning officer, chief electoral officer, district electoral officer, presiding officer, among others. I will make a separate video on this. So if somehow electoral this returning officer, even during the filing of the nomination paper or taking back your nomination paper, if it somehow finds, then even in that case it can reject your nomination if you fail to disclose the source of your income. Also, recently in 2023, Supreme Court had directed all high courts to make special benches in their respective Supreme Court, in their respective High Court, and also principal benches in the lower court, to dispose cases related to MP and MLAs concerning life imprisonment and punishment up to 5 years and so on, so that faster disposal of criminal cases can be done. And the main issue which is surrounding our election process that more than 40% of the parliamentarians, they have criminal cases against them, and around 20%, 25% of the parliamentarians have cases which are of serious nature related to criminal, for example rape, extortion, murder, among others. So these are the landmark judgments which are related to election to bring transparency, effectiveness, fair play, level playing field in our election process that I have told you. These judgment, this is important from the point of view of mains. Fine. And the basic fact which I discussed earlier, those were related to films. So we come to the conclusion. Then free and fair elections, they serve as the foundation of the democracy. Fine. To achieve this very objective, we have to have an independent watchdog. Fine. To address the concerns which so that it can ensure citizen participation and foster faith in the electoral process. And this thereby this strengthens our democratic process. We should not forget that a robust electoral process is crucial for upholding our democratic principles and thereby ensuring active engagement of our citizens and shaping the government, making it accountable and responsible to the people of India, which in fact our forefathers always wanted. Fine, this was the video. Now I shall take you to the question that I have framed it based on this video. So this is the question. Consider the following statement. You can pause your video right now and think over it for 1 minute. If you have developed common sense, and if you have given through 2 3 years attempt, or even if you have developed common sense that over the years, since we are all graduate, it is expected from us that we have common sense. Fine, we have basic understanding of things. Based on those, based on that limited skill, we will be able to solve this problem. This I will teach you. This is the skill. I will also come out with a separate video for discussing PYQs, such that every year close to 20 to 25 questions which can be solved using common sense, that I will show you actually, and which I will apply here. Fine. There are three statements given, and also the pattern of question that I have made this year is on the basis of PY question that was asked in 2023 civil services examination, preliminary examination. Fine. That one statement, two statement, three statement, this is the pattern that I chose. So this is the question. It says that Representations of People Act 1951, it does not contain any provision relating to use of EVM in an election. It says does not contain any provision. Can you, so does our common sense allow this statement? Do you think that we are using some 55 lakh EVM as per the data that is given there, or let's say 25 lakh, 23 lakh EVM, whatever is that? 97 crore voters have to cast their vote, and do you think that is possible without even a legal reference in our Representation of People Act 1951, and no provision, and does not contain any provision? Do you think it is possible to conduct election in such a vast democracy, which where people from different backgrounds come? Don't you think political party will raise question on this EVM, that it does not contain any legal, and then any legal provision in the statute, and then even then you are conducting election? So prima facie this statement is wrong. Fine. Also, prima facie this is wrong. So this question should come. So this is the very common sense which I was talking about. Fine. So this first statement is wrong. Let's come to the second statement. It says that in 1982, EVM was first introduced in the assembly election of Paravur constituency and was used in all the polling stations of that constituency. By that, ठीक? Read this statement again. In 1982, EVMs were first introduced in the assembly election of Paravur constituency. Maybe this may be correct, Paravur constituency or any other constituency, and was used in all the polling station of the constituency. So just like an ordinary man, you tell me one thing: if you are experimenting with something, fine. If you are experimenting with something, let's say talk about Kolkata Knight Riders. Kolkata Knight Rider in a cricket match, there are 11 players. Do you think that I will play a cricket match with all 11 players which have not played in any international match or any league match altogether? Am I going to replace all the 11 players directly with uncapped players? Uncapped players mean those who have not played for their country. Do you think I am going to play a match with all uncapped players? That is certainly very difficult. That is certainly impossible. I am not going to experiment such that I am going using all my resources with that experiment. I will always try. If I have 10 places, fine, 10 places where their experiment has to be conducted or that activity has to be carried out, I will ensure that my experiment is conducted in 3 places, and rest 7 8 places that same activity is conducted in the normal manner, or that status quo it is maintained. I mean to say, it is saying that EVMs were introduced for the first time in the assembly election of Paravur, and they were used in all the polling stations of the constituency. Do you think if there are, let's say, 100 polling station, I am going to use EVM in all the polling station? I will, what an ordinary or a common sense allows me, that I may use 30 at 13 polling station I may use EVM, fine, and for rest 70 polling station I will continue to use my ballot papers. Don't you think this is right? Or let's say I will do 50-50, but even in my dreams during the experiment I am not going to do this thing, that I will replace this entire 100 with 100 EVMs. I will not allow this. I mean, I will not do this. Common sense does not allow that. If you are experimenting this, then you will refrain from this activity, because if something goes wrong, then you have to conduct re-election in only these 30 polling station, and you will avoid the expenditure on this 17 polling station where using ballot paper election is being conducted. Fine. So again, this statement appears to me as wrong. The first one we have already tried and checked. See, well, you should understand the rationale which I am presenting behind negating the rationale which I am using to negate the statement. Fine. And this is coming to the third statement. This is the 18th Lok Sabha. It said there are 960 million registered voters, 25 lakh EVMs, 20 lakh control units are being employed. Do you think I am going to remember these facts? Is it humanly possible for me to remember each and every fact? Then if let's say tomorrow it comes out with a different statement that there are 17 lakh people who are more than 100 years who are going to cast their vote. There are 5 lakh people who are Divyangs. There are 47 crore or 50 crore male voters, or say 20, let's say there are 15 crore voters who are more than 20 years and less than 29 years. Do you think is it humanly possible to remember each and every fact? I think that is not possible. And even UPSC is not asking you to remember facts. It does check facts, but only those facts which are very common. It may not be possible for you to remember each and every fact. So based on this analysis, even this statement is wrong. Fine, let's come to the answer. For the first statement is provided that EVM is answer is D. D means none of the statement are correct. We'll see how. In the statement 1, he said the use of EVM is a legal process. It was introduced in the section 61A was introduced by an amendment to the Representation of People Act 1951 in the year 1988. It empowered the Election Commission of India to use electronic voting machine. Fine. Second, for the second statement, I showed you how to use the common sense to negate the statement. Fine. Fine. And third, we know UPSC generally never checks facts. Fine. Generally, for ordinary, which is fact, which should be and must be known to everybody. For example, Part 3 of the Constitution contains fundamental right. This should be known to you. If it is not known to you, then this is a question mark on you. So whether you are preparing for civil services examination or even for not for civil, even an ordinary citizen should know that we are talking about everywhere about our fundamental right, and you should know that from which part of the constitution you are deriving that fundamental right. This is a very basic fact which this UPSC may check, because this is a common fact, but it may not be, may not ask you to check or remember that there are 960 million registered voters, 25 lakh EVMs will be utilized, 20 lakh control unit will be utilized. It may not be humanly possible. Fine. So based on this analysis, we arrive at the answer that D, or each and every statement is wrong. Fine. ठीक है. Thank you for your time. Do subscribe to our channel to watch more such videos. Till then, happy learning and all the best for upcoming exam. In the future, I shall be coming up with the videos concerning the Model Code of Conduct, the relevant provision related to Representation of People Act 1950, Representation of People Act 1951, Election Commission of India as a body, how it functions and how it works, and also the officials which are concerned or which are related to the election process. Okay, till then, thank you.